How's it going, Starseekers? I hope you're all doing alright. My name's Luke and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be taking a look at a game with a rather long-winded title known as Clone Drone in the Danger Zone. Advertising itself as a voxel based slice 'em up, gameplay is primarily focused around fast-paced arena-based combat, where your attacks are able to dismember your opponents and a single well-timed blow is all that stands between defeat and victory. Now, with several offline modes to select from and online multiplayer with crossplay functionality, Clone Drone in the Danger Zone has plenty of content to offer players, but how does it perform on the Switch, and should you be shelling out 20 notes for it? In this review I aim to answer those questions, so hit that like button, subscribe to be notified of future reviews, and let's get started. So Clone Drone has been out for a few years now on Steam, but it's just about to make the leap to consoles on the 27th of July. It'll be available for £19.99 on the UK eShop and $19.99 on the US eShop, and from what I've seen so far, it's said to have online crossplay between the Switch and all other platforms. Now, following an extremely lengthy 1-minute load screen, we eventually arrive at the main menu and have two options available to us, those being single player and multiplayer, and we'll first be taking a look at the single player modes, of which there are 3. If this is your first time playing, I recommend starting with a story mode, as this will get you used to the game's control scheme and mechanics, but thankfully there isn't actually too much to learn with this one. So the game's story mode is actually still in the works at the moment, with there currently being 4 chapters available to play, with the 5th and final chapter due to be added on the game's release. The story itself revolves around an alien invasion, which has resulted in the entire human race now being forced to fight in arenas for the amusement of the captors. But the humans find an ally in the form of this dismembered floating head, and she basically helps you to escape the arena and infiltrate the invaders' base in an attempt to overthrow them. Now, the first 2 chapters of the game are set entirely within the confines of the arena, and I have to be honest here, I almost didn't make it through them. Both chapters see you fighting your way through 10 consecutive battles in the arena, and if at any point you die, you then have to start all over again from the first round, though after much frustration, I did eventually realise the necessity of clones in these first chapters. Now, after getting through these first 2 chapters, gameplay changes dramatically, and instead you find yourself fighting your way through enemy bases with plenty of checkpoints and several new gameplay mechanics to contend with. And at this point, my interest picked back up again and I really started to enjoy the game. After playing through story mode though, I can't help but feel that a 2-player co-op mode would have been ideal for it, and it really would have helped alleviate some of the early game frustrations. Now, turning to the actual combat mechanics of the game, Clone Drone is primarily melee based, though you can unlock a bow which does provide some limited ranged combat. Vertical melee attacks are performed by hitting ZR, while ZR plus left or right will perform the horizontal attack. And I have to admit, I did find this a little awkward, as you'll also strafe whilst pressing left or right, and I really found it quite hard to actually hit anything at all to start with. Now, working your way through the arena's battles, things start off simple, and you'll face off against a few simple melee and ranged enemies, which does give you a chance to get used to the game's control scheme. Each round you complete ups the ante though, and both new enemy variants and upgraded versions of existing enemies are introduced, and overall there's a decent amount of variety to them, with each presenting their own challenge. Now, you begin your first arena with only a simple sword to fight with, but every time you beat a round, you can then head downstairs where you can select a single upgrade from one of the machines, though in the first 2 chapters your upgrade choices are a little more limited. These include things like enhancements to your sword, which set it on fire or enable you to block arrows with it, adding a bow to your arsenal to allow you to engage enemies from a distance, granting you the ability to kick and knock enemies down, or the creation of clones which give you another chance to continue after you die. Once you get past the arena chapters or into the multiplayer side of things though, the upgrade tree opens up a bit more and you can then unlock additional weapons, including a spear and shield combo or a mighty hammer with which to smash your foes to pieces with. Now, in addition to the story mode, there are two other single player modes on offer. Firstly, you have Endless mode, which sees you fighting your way through round after round in the arena, with ever more challenging enemies to face each round. The third and final single player mode has you completing a number of different challenges, each with a unique gameplay modifier which affects the arena, enemies, or restricts you to using a specific weapon, and successfully completing these challenges awards you with a trophy or unlocks a new single player upgrade. Moving on to multiplayer then, Clone Drone has 4 different modes to offer players. You have an Endless Co-op mode, which is similar to the single player Endless mode but allows for up to 4 players to work together, and Co-op Challenges, which as before impose specific restrictions but instead unlock new weapon skins once complete. The mode that you're likely to put most of your online time into though will be the Last Box Standing mode, and this mode sees up to 15 players duking it out in online arenas, with each player having only a single life with which to take down the competition. After selecting the starting upgrades, players are then airdropped into the arena in random locations, and there are additional upgrade stations scattered about the place which offer significant advantages for whoever captures them. The arenas themselves then slowly sink into the surrounding lava, which quickly reduces the size of them and forces players to confront each other on what little ground remains. Now, there is also an online 1vs1 private duel mode, though I didn't actually get to test this mode due to having no friends. Now, going off the number of players I was able to find online, I think that crossplay is already active, though I'm not entirely sure which platforms these players were playing on. While I did manage to play a little of the online mode and had a bit of fun doing so, at the moment, online mode is incredibly laggy, and I don't know whether this is down to connection latency or the game's performance on the Switch, but it's nearly impossible to actually enjoy any of the online modes due to the game constantly freezing up. Now, putting the online issues aside, the game performs pretty well in offline mode, bar some momentary freezes each time a new arena is loaded in. While the visuals are simple and their appearance is similar to games like Trove, I've always quite enjoyed voxel games, and I thought they worked really well in Clone Drone, especially with the game's dismemberment mechanics. On the audio side of things, we get some decent sound effects and a high-tempo dubstep soundtrack to battle along to, but the standout point for me were the game's commentators, who are constantly chattering away and making amusing quips every time you're victorious or suffer defeat in the arena.
Victory!
Spidertron 6000 was defeated.
Perhaps we should start research on some robot that's not a spider.
Good idea.
So in all, Clone Drone in the Danger Zone does have the potential to be a pretty great game, though there are currently some major issues which keep me from recommending the game, namely the performance of online multiplayer. While its single player mode can be a bit frustrating to start with, once you get used to the combat, things do become easier, and I particularly enjoyed the game's 4th chapter, which sees you taking control of your enemies each time you're defeated. Let's be honest here though, online multiplayer is where you're going to be spending most of your time, but at the moment it's practically unplayable, and hopefully these issues will be fixed when the game goes live on the 27th of July, but for now I would be wary of pre-ordering the game or picking it up on release day. Now, when it comes to my own personal rating, I have to take the multiplayer issues into account, and so I'm going to be giving Clone Drone in the Danger Zone 3 out of 5 stars. Now, if there hadn't been the multiplayer issues, I'd have rated it 4 stars, and Clone Drone is definitely still one to keep an eye on. The cross-play multiplayer should ensure it has a strong online player base, but as things currently stand, you could potentially be limited to single player only, if the issues that I've mentioned aren't rectified before the game releases. And so that's just about it for this review of Clone Drone in the Danger Zone on the Nintendo Switch. Make sure to hit that like button if it helped you out. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the game and whether you're going to risk it for a biscuit and pick it up on release day. And as always, consider subscribing to the channel as I upload new Switch related content and reviews every few days. For now though, I just want to thank you all once again for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves and game on.